Good morning, it's today again. Welcome back to Joseph's Reserves. I'm Joseph, and I store 20% of my income in the form of rare coins and precious metals. If someone walked up to me today and handed me $10,000 with one simple rule, you have to build me a precious metal stack from scratch, what would I buy? That's exactly what we're going to go over today. Now, before I show you this stack, I want to explain something very important. This isn't a perfect stack. There isn't one, really. If your goal is to squeeze every last ounce of silver out of your money, you'd build something completely different than I am right now. If you're a collector, your stack would look completely different. If you're preparing for retirement, it really should look much different than what I'm about to show. This is simply the stack I would personally build if I were starting over today. But I think understanding why is more valuable than simply copying the coins that I picked. So let's get into it. Congratulations to Maestro Metals for getting to my comment section first in my last video. Thank you so much for your support. Find him down below to start a conversation. So as I put together this $10,000 stack, I'm going to be using a few principles that I think of almost every single purchase. The first one being diversification. Most people think diversification can only mean buying both silver and gold, but I think it goes a few steps further than that. I want different sizes, different countries, different levels of recognition, different premium levels. I don't want every dollar tied up into one coin or one type of coin. With this level of initial investment, could I buy a single 1-ounce gold coin? Absolutely, but I would really prefer breaking that into several pieces. Why? Because it gives me options. If I ever needed to sell a large portion of my stack, I don't want to have to liquidate the entire ounce of gold. I can sell a 1/4 ounce or a sovereign, a 20 franc, and just keep the rest of my stack intact. The flexibility is very valuable to me. The second principle is to buy recognizable products. When I buy precious metals, I'm always thinking about the day I eventually need to sell them. Coins that are instantly recognized by dealers tend to be the easiest to sell and often trade with a tighter buy-to-sell spread than obscure pieces. That's one reason I like government-issued bullion and well-known historic gold and silver coins. The third is to really understand what you're getting with the premiums. Premiums definitely matter. Every dollar you spend above melt value is a dollar you don't have in precious metals. That doesn't mean I always buy the absolute cheapest. Sometimes paying a slightly higher premium makes sense if the coin has a stronger demand or it's easier to resell later. The goal isn't to always buy the cheapest coin. The goal is to buy the best value overall. And finally, I want a stack that I actually enjoy owning. This might sound strange, but if you're going to spend years building a stack, you should enjoy looking at it. I love world gold. I love historic coins. I love having a little variety instead of opening a safe and seeing 50 identical pieces. So for those ideas in mind, this is exactly what I would buy. Let's start with gold. The first coins I would buy would be 2 1/4 ounce modern bullion coins, whether those are gold eagles, gold maples, or gold Britannias, or another well-known bullion coin doesn't quite matter as much as it just is buying recognizable fractional gold. And the next I would add would be a British sovereign. I think sovereigns are one of the most underrated gold coins in the market. They're historic, they're recognizable around the world, and they often carry a very reasonable premium. After that, I would go for the French or Swiss 20 franc. Just like the sovereign, 20 francs are one of my favorite ways to add world gold. They're beautiful, highly recognizable, and frequently available in very competitive premiums. The next portion of my gold allocation would go one of two directions depending on the exact amount of money I want to go specifically towards gold. It could go one of two ways. I could go with 2 smaller historic coins like this $2.50 quarter eagle and a 5 peso Mexican gold coin. Or if I wanted to put a little bit more money in towards gold, I could go with an additional 20 franc coin and just one of the smaller gold coins. Either way, this would end up right around $5,000 on gold. The lower option would be right about $4,950, and adding a little bit more would be $5,225. and the remainder would go into silver. Here I have 20 American Eagles, 25 Canadian Maples, and 20 generic Buffaloes. I picked those numbers simply because they're full tube sizes. The 20 American Eagles would be the highest recognized bullion. The Canadian Maples are a good second tier, and then silver Buffaloes, or really any other generic round, is your best bang for your buck. An American Silver Eagle tube is 20 ounces, while a Canadian Silver Maple tube is 25 ounces. There's really no magic to those numbers. It's really just that if you're buying in full tubes, you end up with most likely cleaner, untouched coins. I also have here a 10-ounce silver bar. I wouldn't necessarily prioritize the 10-ounce bar, but it is often a way to get silver at a little bit of a lower premium. And depending on the exact premiums and price the day that you go to buy, you could even end up with a few more ounces of silver. So of course some of you might be asking, Joseph, why didn't you just buy all generic? And that's a fair question. If my only goal was to maximize ounces, I definitely would have just said buy all generics. But that wasn't my only goal. I wanted to have a diversified stack. I want recognized bullion, but I also want low premium. I want the flexibility, and honestly, I want to stack what I'm excited to see every time I open the safe. So that's why this is my personal $10,000 stack. And before I wrap up here, I want to leave you with one final thought. When I lay this stack on the table, something surprised me. $10,000 doesn't actually look like very much. It's about an ounce of gold and 75 ounces of silver, and it all fits comfortably in this small section of my desk. If you spent any time watching precious metals videos on YouTube, you've probably seen tables absolutely covered in gold and silver. And I've shown some pretty large stacks myself, but I want to be careful that all of those videos don't send the wrong message. The point isn't to make people feel like they need hundreds of ounces of silver or dozens of ounces of gold before they're like a real stacker, whatever that could even mean. The point is to build a habit of savings. I wasn't always in the position I am today. There were times in my life when I was homeless. Saving money wasn't something I was good at, honestly, because I didn't have much to save. Precious metals changed that for me. Every coin I bought represented a decision to pay my future self instead of spending everything today. Over time, those decisions added up, the stack grew, and more importantly, my mindset changed. Today, when people see large stacks on my channel, I don't want them to think, wow, I could never afford that, because really, I can't afford that right now either. I want them to realize that the stack wasn't built overnight, it was built one purchase at a time. One silver eagle, one gold sovereign, one 20 franc, one paycheck after another, one decision after another. And that's really what Joseph's Reserves is all about. It's not about having the biggest stack on YouTube, which I clearly do not, but it's about being a better steward of the resources God has entrusted you. Whether your first purchase is 1 ounce of silver, a quarter ounce of gold, or even just one silver dime, you're building the habit that can change the way you think about money. If you're just getting started, don't compare your stack to someone else's who's been buying for 10 or 20 years. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday. And if today you own 1 more ounce than you did last month, you're moving in the right direction. That is how wealth is built. Slowly, consistently, 1 coin at a time. So, if you like this video, hit the like button, go to the comment section to start a conversation or to continue one, subscribe if you haven't already, and share the video if you think someone may like it. But most of all, thank you so much for watching, and just remember, every ounce adds up, so no matter how small, just keep stacking.